Welcome to a Saturday morning, and that means it is time for Cynthia Hash to join us here for the reality of real estate. Good morning, Cynthia. How are you doing this hot, steamy summer Sunday and Saturday?
Doing well, doing well. As long as the sun's shining, I'm good. I tell you what, I came out of the office late the other night, got soaked to the bone.
Oh dear, you got caught in one of the
Yeah,
frog stranglers.
I did.
Dear,
So,
I'm sorry about
um,
that.
yeah,
Yeah,
it is,
and they pop up, and you'll go on Facebook and say, "Oh my God, look at how it's raining," and your neighbor down the street will be like, "It hasn't rained here in days."
yeah.
So they're very isolated.
It's pretty much it's like that one cloud, and
Yeah.
all it takes. That's all it takes.
Well, you remember the A.A. Milne books, Winnie the Pooh, and there was
Yeah.
Eeyore the donkey, who had
Yes.
just lived in his gloomy place. Oh,
Yeah.
I'll be all right, Pooh. Uh, all of a sudden, I sounded like somebody I know. Never mind. I'm sure it'll come back to me soon. But you wanted to talk about veterans. This is part of your consumer guide series.
Yeah, it is. So the National Association of Realtors uh, is has been really doing some advocacy work for veterans and did so last year, roughly this time
Hmm.
last year, and it's really a good thing. So what happened was um, they passed a basically a law. It used to be where there was no way that a veteran would be allowed using a VA loan to be able to uh, pay their realtor.
Really?
Yeah,
Everyone else can, but why can't a VA loan?
exactly. And so there was the stipulation when especially with, the class action lawsuits and so forth, and that stipulation was, we had to, basically desegregate essentially,
Wow.
decouple. Remember that word,
Hmm.
decouple. And so when it was decoupled, the VA said, we're not going to, let uh, our veterans, pay for a buyer's agent.
Hmm.
Well, it became a situation, a bad situation, where then all of a sudden veterans couldn't have representation if a particular seller was not willing to negotiate and pay part of their equity to help pay for the buyer's agent. And
Gee.
it, and it became a thing, a bad thing.
Hmm.
So now, though, the good news is the veterans certainly now can and this was since August of 2024 they implemented what was a temporary policy allowing for buyers to be able to pay and compensate their real estate professionals
Okay.
who when they were getting a VA loan. So NAR advocated for this to make sure that veterans have greater access to professional representation in home buying, and the
Oh,
NAR's advocacy included all kinds of meetings with VA officials. They were engaging lawmakers and they were collaborating with industry partners all over the
mhm.
place. And it was temporary because the VA decided, well, whether it's a formal rulemaking or not, this policy should become permanent according to the VA, according
Oh,
to the NAR.
right.
So with that, them advocating quite a bit on it, it has since become a permanent policy instead of a temporary policy.
Thank goodness. I mean, I get tired of some of these things. They have no problem writing like a temporary tax cut, but every agency they create to look after some spiny muscle is around forever, even after long after the muscle has been saved. Uh,
Yeah.
the bureaucracy lives, but we the people keep having to re-up. So I'm glad they saw their sense. I mean, especially in a country who, I mean, you can debate whether or not, but I certainly think the GI Bill did a lot towards creating the boom of the 50s and 60s. People were able to buy buy homes.
Oh
Our
yeah.
soldiers who had fought were able to come home from theater and, plant a flag of their own. And just sad to think that they wouldn't still be doing that.
That's exactly right. And I think there's so much that we enjoy doing for the veteran, and what the veteran was getting this the wrong idea, I think,
Hmm.
saying, well, why am I being asked to sign a written agreement? So the written buyer agreements, they again had to be decoupled, correct? Okay, nationwide,
Hmm.
and the real estate professional had to show in there how they were going to be getting paid. And so their compensation is in there as well.
To
What,
quote, protect the VA from having to pay a realtor for
well,
helping a veteran find a home.
well, exactly. So what was happening is we would negotiate then for that to happen. In other words, we would say, okay, if I'm getting X percent, then I need to try and negotiate my best from the seller to be
Hmm.
able to get paid. So that's why I usually say to any seller, hey, let's budget. Let's budget for you to pay for a buyer's agent. Why? Because there's so many buyers out there that need representation and they're not going to get it because they might not be able to afford it on top of their paying their closing costs, on top of paying the down payment, on top
Hmm.
of qualifying for a loan, et cetera, et cetera. So that's for pretty much everybody. When I'm talking about the NAR efforts to promote financing, for example, for veterans, that's part of it too. So believe it or not, there's practically every lender that I know can do a VA loan.
Okay.
But what's interesting is the these lenders, they're just lenders. That's all they are these people that are people like Navy Federal, United Federal,
Hmm.
Veterans United, USAA. Not a single one of them are actually affiliated with the Department of Veterans Affairs.
So they're just kind of going by whatever the policy says on a piece of
Mhm.
paper. They don't know anyone at the department to talk to.
No, no, they're just a VA approved lender, but so is every other lender that I ever have known.
Hmm.
VA approved. That's all you have to be. So there's nothing special about those. But what is special, and this is a shocker, what is special and not all that great
Yeah.
is they'll say, we'll give you a discount, but you have to use our realtor, which means they get a piece of the pie.
Right.
That's all they want.
It's a sales pitch.
It's a sales pitch. You daggone right. And what veterans don't understand is they're not any better off by going with those big dog companies. They're just familiar with it.
Hmm. Right. They've heard the name or whatever. They watched a football game sponsored by. Uh,
Exactly.
so
Exactly.
So what is the right answer for a veteran? We have so many of them around here. I mean, this is a great, military area. If it wasn't for all the universities around, we'd be a real, army town.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So what this is the buyer's agent needs
Hmm.
to educate their veteran and basically say, hey, I am a MRP, which is a military relocation professional.
Okay.
I've been certified by the National Association of Realtors
Hmm.
to get that MRP certification with extra education and things like that. So I know more than the average bear does when it comes to what's happening when, and how horrible is it going to be? Uh, uh, you know, how quickly do we have to close? How horrible is it going to be for you and your family to have to go through another PCS?
Yep.
And and these things are you're when you're doing PCS moves, it's called permanent change of station type of
Hmm.
moves. it can be so stressful. And the one thing you don't want is an agent who doesn't understand these things.
Right. Well,
And
and are there different things you see? You talk about permanent station move or retired vet. I mean, a permanent move of station
yeah,
sounds like, maybe in a couple of years their station gets changed again.
it can, but the word permanent's kind of a little misleading, right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. I mean, I'm not the
Yeah.
sharpest knife in the shed, but maybe I shouldn't keep my knives in my shed.
In other words, they're permanently going to move. I
That's
think mainly,
right.
right?
Keep the
But the
keep the boxes packed permanently.
sometimes that's the way it feels, yes. And that permanent change of station, that PCS move, tends to, they have a lot of help from like maybe their job station or whatever. There's a ton of,
Hmm.
help in that regard. But what you don't want to do is maybe, use a lender that just wants a piece of the pie.
Hmm.
Right. So the lenders that I work with, they do not take a piece of that of my commission.
Okay.
Okay. These other lenders do. The Navy
Hmm.
Federal, the United Federal, the Veterans United, USAA, they'll take a piece of the commission, and it could be a small piece, could be a large piece. It all depends, whatever's in between. And that's what they want. And they're really, really good advertisers, very excellent marketers.
Well, I was going to
And
say because the Vox Populi in my head is that, Navy Federal or these, military based banks would be the ones I would go to if I was a
but
veteran.
guess what? They're not military based. You can
Okay.
look up every single one of them and ask the question, is XYZ, USAA, Navy Federal, whatever, a part of the Veterans Administration? And every single one of them will say nope.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Troubling, but interesting.
Troubling is correct, yes. So what the MRP, the military relocation profession does
Mhm.
is we're basically able to understand the process and the procedures, and we're involved in the military relocation somehow.
Mhm.
How and all whatever all these things impact the service members, the
Sure.
relocation, the housing choices, even. Are we going? One of the first questions I usually ask is, how long do you think you're going to be here? Is it only going to be 2 years, or is it going to be 5?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
and then, hey, maybe this is not the house that you want. Because it could be that if you're only going to be there for 2 years, uh, is this going to be the house that's going to be able to sell or do a resale very quickly?
That
And
makes sense.
mhm. And what are the market conditions? And is this, when you're going all over the place, traveling all over the place, in your commute, is I'm gonna describe to you what the traffic's like on a particular route, on, between 8 and 9 a.m. or 7 and 9 a.m. and between 4 and 6 p.m., that kind of thing.
Hmm.
That's going to be more important, and because they're going to, if they should be as close as they, want to be, that
Oh,
they'll
sure.
be helping to do all of that. Also, we provide, as MRP agents, we provide information to help those members all throughout the process of either renting or buying or selling or any kind of decision-making process. We help you with that because you don't know the area. You're coming in from, it's not like you're a resale and you're moving to the next county. You're not. You're coming from who knows where.
It,
And all.
uh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So we also have the ability to identify and provide these services, and find what suitable homes there are.
Mhm.
And I will tell you that the knowledge of a military relocation professional, that we guide you and help guide you through the transaction. And guess what? We can explain the basics of
Mhm.
VA financing, the basics. And we also have access to all kinds of tools and resources to help you, whether you're a current member of the military or a former member of the military, it does not matter.
Hmm.
We will be able to help you. And at Find Homes Realty, we have people on in our agents that have earned the military relocation professional certification.
Hmm.
And guess what? We are willing to be able to, if there are programs that they're telling you about that says, oh, a particular type of discount of some sort, or maybe a rebate
Hmm.
or anything of that nature, you will get all of it as a basically a matching thing instead of going with a realtor who is a part of Navy Federal or part of USAA or part of we'll match it.
Hmm.
And
That's fair.
then that way that person doesn't that realtor at Navy Federal or whatever doesn't get a piece of the pie. You get all of it as the veteran. So
As it should be, I hazard to say. So,
mhm,
why does the VA not do a better job of explaining this to the veterans when they come out? Is it
yeah.
just, you guys are grown ups, go figure it out kind of thing,
Pretty much. And not only that, but they it's an emotional pull for when they're doing these advertisements. These advertisements are extremely well done. That let's just face it, they have a ton of money, and where are they getting their money? From the veteran. And and
True.
because they have so much money, what they're doing is such fantastic marketing that they pull on the emotional strings of
Yeah.
the veteran, saying, okay, well, all their customers, every time they are on television or whatever, it's all about somebody in uniform. And that
So,
pulls at everybody's heartstrings, right?
well, yeah, and well, except for me, it makes me a little bit angry if you're targeting people who have just come back from a sacrifice like that. These are folks who are all volunteer. They have agreed to go stand a post wherever we need them to do whatever they can for us. It is just another file in a cabinet full of things that I don't know, like to make it look like we do for veterans, but then we don't.
Yeah.
What should, and as far as selling a house, I mean, if I was a neighbor and I saw a veteran moving in, I'd think, yeah, there's probably a pretty good chance he's going to be a pretty good neighbor too. Although you're
Yeah.
supposed to factor that in. I know that, but I'm just the radio show host, so pay no never mind to me. So, what do you say to a veteran who's listening right now? And maybe they just did in the last couple of years. A lot of people did buy homes in the last couple of years. Is there anything they can do to back engineer it, if that's a good use of that phrase?
I don't know about back engineer, but I will say this, even from a seller, if I'm if I have a listing, the seller happens to be a veteran. Uh, if you're not dealing with a lender at that
Hmm.
point, then that is, they don't get any piece of my commission, but I would still be willing to give and match any kind of situation with a rebate or a discount in commission, or maybe help pay buyers closing costs or sellers closing costs, things of that nature, to
Hmm.
be able to help the veteran. So you can actually go on NAR's website, or you can Google it. Just say, uh, find a MRP realtor,
Okay.
and you'll be able to find it. But what we would prefer you to do, of course, is to go to findhomesrealty.com or findhomesusa.com and take a look at our resources, and it'll show you tons and tons of hyperlinks into all these things that are more helpful to you than anything. And that is a tremendous amount of information. Uh, Everything from you can unlock major property tax savings and right now.
Hmm.
There's a lot of that. And I'm not even sure that how much folks know about this, but if you've served our country, there are valuable benefits, and we even have those things on our website, and
Okay.
we are happy to help with how can we help you, right? And so this is something that I believe is important for you to know, that you have more choices than just using a realtor who happens to be a referral agent per se,
Hmm.
with Navy Federal, USAA, or Veterans United, or things like that. Because sometimes you're just getting somebody who's buying those leads, and
And
they're
they're
not.
obviously, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. So, and for example, a tax exemption for disabled veterans.
Hmm.
In Virginia, if you're a veteran with 100% permanent and total service, some connected
Hmm.
disability rating from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, VA, you're eligible for full exemption from your property taxes on your primary residence.
Man. And I think everyone went through getting the love letter from their local clerk and hey, good news, your house is more valuable. Bad news, you owe us more taxes.
That's right. But this can translate into thousands of dollars in savings each year, making the home ownership significantly more affordable.
It's flying in the face of what they said just, last year. And a lot of the politicians talk about the affordability of housing, but it comes down to the market, the jobs that are available in the area, and what people are
Mhm.
willing and able to pay for something.
Yeah, and of course there are rules to follow. Yeah, that you have to be uh, disabled, as a disabled veteran of any sort. It doesn't mean that you have to be disabled and, oh my gosh, you have to be in a wheelchair. It could be any number of reasons why you're disabled. And so but it does have to be your primary residence.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. And guess what? This benefit for surviving spouses, it can also extend to them.
Well, that's huge.
Oh, my stars, it is.
Because some of these folks, and it's tragic, but they leave us way too soon. They leave families way too soon, and they need to have that, and hopefully we can intercede and that number starts coming down. But while it is happening, we need to make sure families don't lose their whole home in
Yeah.
the process of something tragic happening to them. Cynthia, what should a vet be asking a realtor when they come up to them? Obviously, they should go to Find Homes Realty, but remind them again what they should be asking just the realtor that they may bump into maybe in their neighborhood.
Yeah, anything, quite frankly, and ask them straight up, are you a military relocation professional? Do you have, or have you earned the MRP certification?
Hmm.
And that will tell you a lot right there. And I'll be honest with you, I lost my son in 2015. He
Hmm.
was a Marine. He was in the service for 5 years. I miss him every day, and I do my best to help all military members and veterans, as well as anyone basically struggling with suicidal thoughts, through the foundation that we created in our son's name, and
Hmm.
that's mitchellhashfoundation.com. So I, I take this very seriously.
Yeah.
I helped my son and his wife at the time uh, buy their first and only house, and got them discounts, was able to give them a better uh, loan product than what they were going to get at Navy Federal, for example, or
Yeah.
USAA. It was a better loan product, worked out for them, was
Mhm.
able to get the loan uh, initiation fee for veterans. Unfortunately, there's a funding fee, and that funding fee was able to get them to basically wipe it out. And so that's a good thing. And again, that is something that if you are disabled in any way or whatever, or partially or fully, you can avoid paying or a reduced funding fee. So if you're getting a VA loan, it's really funny because when you're getting a VA loan, it's like, um, thank you for your service. Now let us charge you extra for just getting a VA loan.
Well, and but, also, if I may speak candidly, moving into this area because of the access to health care in general, mental
Mhm,
health care in general, both sides of the mountain, uh,
mhm.
whether it be Centara or UVA, there really is a lot here for a veteran and their family.
Yeah, there is. There's quite a bit. And quite frankly, you think of it this way, you can as a VA, most of the time you have to get your VA eligibility certificate. And because in order to get a VA loan, you have to have that. And if you don't, let's say, for example, you're in a different state. And
Hmm.
it will probably depend on how much you make and what your debt to income ratio is and loan to value and so forth is as well. You might not be able to get a VA loan on the second place. Maybe you still own that place in a different state.
Yeah.
Okay. So you need to get a VA savvy real estate agent at Find Homes Realty to be able to help you. What is the benefit of maybe using a different loan? Uh,
And you brought up something that I think, and of course it's 2 minutes ago in the show, but you brought up that sometimes these triggers that sound oh so sensible, oh well, we're not going to give a mortgage out for a second home. It might look like that on paper, but it's a family that needs to purchase the place they're moving to before they sell their place, and sometimes the bureaucracy catches that up in its net.
Yes, it can. It can, and you have to be on it, and you have to have a lender that's also going to be on it. And not to say that they're bad lenders or anything like that, but I will say that there is a caveat in some situations. You're not going to get that uh, benefit, let's
Mhm.
call it, that discount or that rebate or whatever. You might not get that if they say, hey, you can use me, but you're not going to get it unless you use my realtor.
Mm.
Well,
Well,
that
and again, playing the kind of marketing, forcing people into boxes is not fair either. You should be able to call Find Homes Realty for your own self and not feel like you're boxed into this. And again, like you said, a lot of the veterans come back and think, well, it's just this is where I go, and they've got to know the difference. So thank you for bringing that for them,
sure
Cynthia.
thing. Sure thing. And by the way, if you want to see, there's so much to learn, and I'm so willing to give up this knowledge. Go to findhomesrealty.com/podcast, and you'll be able to listen to not only the recording of this, but also the other recordings as well. And we would love to interact with you and help you, veteran, whether elderly, we have the SRES, all these kinds of things. We're able to help a whole lot more than the average bear. And we really do appreciate our customers. We bend over backwards and try to help them, and are really sincere about it. Using the code of ethics and our own core values, we are very sincere about helping veterans and as well as anybody else in the real estate industry, that the real estate market who needs a really good realtor.
Advocate, even beyond that. Well, thank you, Cynthia.
Yes.
Have a wonderful weekend. Stay hydrated, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Thanks a whole bunch.